Hi guys, it's me again, Veronica Patterson, coming at you today on a Sunday. And today we are going to be falling into my category of killer kids. We are talking on the subjects of Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold. I'm pretty sure that name rings a bell with a lot of people because they were the ones that did the shooting at Columbine High School in Littleton, Colorado, in the suburbs of Jefferson County. Anyways, that is my phone going off. But anyways, that's what we're talking about, the subject we're talking about today. Starting out, we're going to start from the beginning and go down to what led to them to do such a hideous and murderous thing. What made these kids snap, at such a young age. I mean, Eric Harris was only 18, and Dylan Klebold was 17, on the verge of his 18th birthday, whenever they committed this massacre at their school. Anyways, so on April 20th of 1999, in Littleton, Colorado, at Columbine High School, Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, at approximately 11:19 a.m. in the morning, entered their high school and started wreaking havoc on the school and the students on the inside. By the time everything was over with, which was by 12 p.m., they have killed 12 students, one teacher, and have committed suicide themselves. What led up to this is the question, right? So, at first, they tried to say that they only targeted the jocks, minorities, and Christians. But come to find out, this was nothing but a random shooting. There was not one particular group or one particular, student skin color. This was a random shooting. They was just shooting anybody. Basically like the favorite games that they played. They were hunting people down, but in real life. A lot of the interviews said that sometime at one point, Eric Harris, as he was shooting, because the majority of the killings took place in the school library, and they said that Eric Harris, before he would shoot him and Dylan, before they would shoot a person, they would taunt them. They would look up under the desk, say peekaboo, or they were just hooping and hollering like they was having fun, basically like it was a game. They did, because I'm not sure if they were racist, because according to the parents, they were not, but we're not sure because the way that they talk in their journals, and you can go look them up. If you look up under go to Google and you can type in Columbine High School Massacre, and or you can just type in Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold, and you can look up all that. But according to their journals, they were pretty racist. They did use the N word whenever they shot one of the colored guys in the school, which was Isaiah Scholes. He was one of just maybe two or three colored people in the school. And they did use the N word at that particular time. Not sure if they were racist. We're not sure. Well, I'm not sure of this, but according to their parents, they were not brought up to be racist. They were not taught it. It was not acceptable in their household, because come to find out, Dylan actually had Jewish in him. His mother was, had Jewish roots, and they would actually celebrate the Jewish holidays. They would, like Hanukkah and stuff. They would basically celebrate that. But anyways, what led up to this? Everybody's wondering. Well, everybody's trying to blame it on bullying, which we do have a huge problem with bullying here in the United States. In every high school, in every middle school, and even in elementary school, we do have a problem with bullying. I do say that. A lot of the kids that get bullied don't go on to kill though. That's the thing. But here lately, a lot of kids that have been bullied have did some kind of dramatic action to get the attention that they have been trying to get people to understand that they are being bullied. They have went to way beyond extremes to get it. For example, we're going to use like Adam Lanza in the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. He actually killed his mom before he went to school, before he went to this elementary school in Newton, Connecticut, and started open fire on a whole class of first graders and literally killing them all, including the teacher. But I believe he was bullied also. And then another prime example is the killing in Parkland, Florida, on Douglas High School, where Nicholas Cruz went in and opened fires. He did all over the fact that he could not have girls like everybody else. No girls were paying him attention. They weren't giving him no attention, and so he took it to the extreme and went in and opened fire on Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. These are prime examples of bullying. I mean, it's a huge issue, and a lot of the schools here in America did pass the no bullying rule, no bullying policy, but at the same time, how does the teachers and stuff know if these kids are being bullied or not? I mean, how do they know? I mean, it still happens even with that rule passed. Anyway, let's get back to the Columbine on April 20th of 1999. Eric and Dylan were pretty much bullied the entire time they were at Columbine. They were at the very low of the lowest, they say, of popularity. They were not popular at all. They were not even basically invisible to, if you were to hang with the group, like popularity wise. And in high school, that does happen. I mean, in high school, I was not unpopular, so I wouldn't know. I wasn't not none of that, I wouldn't know what it was, but I seen a lot of kids at the time, at my high school get bullied, and, and it was like, at the time, I didn't do nothing about it, and I feel very bad, because I look at it this way: if you see a kid getting bullied, you should stand up for that kid. You shouldn't just let it happen. It's not cool to just let it happen, because you wouldn't want that to happen to you. That's the way I look at it now. Now that I'm in my 30s. It took a while to look at it like that. But, anyways, yes, they were bullied by the jocks. And you can actually pull up a video where you will see them walking down the school hallway. And one of the jocks, they used to wear white caps back then. If you were a jock, know that. Football player, baseball player, basketball player, the jocks. Anyways, you could see whenever Eric and Dylan and the couple friends that they did have was walking down the hallway, and the jocks was coming back this way. It was like they were like interaction like this, and as they was walking, one of the jocks just boom, knocked Eric basically almost to the ground, if not to the ground, and laughed about it. I seen that. I know I don't agree. I am totally against what they did, but at the same time, a lot of the bullying, I think, added on to the depression that Dylan was feeling, and the homicidal maniac over here, Eric Harris. He was very homicidal. If it was up to him, he would have dropped a nuclear bomb on the whole world and killed everybody in it and the world along with it. It was up to him. Dylan, on the other hand, he was depressed and suicidal. He, in his journals, he talked about a girl. He did not name no names, the specific names, but he talked about a girl that he loved, and she didn't return the affection, did not feel the same way, with little dribbles of hearts everywhere, like broken hearts, which tells me that he was hurting, that he was very depressed and just very down about falling in love, basically. Loving somebody that didn't love him back, and and it hurt him. He was more suicidal, while Eric was more homicidal. He just hated everybody, and he made it very much known in his journals. And you can look these journal entries up online when you look, if you go to the you can just pull it up if you key in the names, and everything will be pulled up. Yeah, he was just not like humanity at all. He did not. At approximately 12 p.m., though, they did turn the guns on themselves, committing suicide in the library. They say that Eric died instantly because he did a gunshot through the roof of the mouth, which obviously, just his whole head, brain blew out. So he died instantly. While they say that Dylan KLEBOD, he did not die instantly because he did a gunshot through the left side of the temple. And he ended up eventually succumbing to his injury by choking on his own blood. Gosh, I'm looking for something. Right, there we go. But yeah, they ended up committing suicide in the school library where most of the carnage took place. I would love to pay all the respects I can to the victims of this, and and take a moment of silence at the end of my video to pay my respects. Also, they wounded over 20 others. They did. The thing is, these kids also, they were very obsessed with the movie Natural Born Killers, starring Juliette Lewis, who's one of my favorite actors, by the way. But they were obsessed with this movie. They would rewatch this movie, like they were never going to see it again, obviously. And also, they were obsessed with the Oklahoma City bomber, Timothy McVeigh. I don't know if you guys, it's pretty popular. I'm pretty sure you heard of the Oklahoma City bombing where Timothy McVeigh drove down in a Riders moving van and parked it where the Grand Central building was, where everything was, like, it had like the daycare in it, it had like the social services in it, it had all this in it. I mean, it was packed full of people at the time, packed full of kids. And he drove this Ryder van down, and he parked right in front of the building, and he just got out, and when it blew up. It blew the whole building basically apart. The whole front end, you can just see straight through, killing 126 people and wounding over 100 more. He did. They were obsessed with him, and they were obsessed with stuff like Hitler and Mama. Stuff like that. I mean, that could, me as a parent, but the parents claim they didn't know, in which a lot of times whenever they are teenagers, they do not tend to tell you nothing. They tend to keep everything bottled inside. I was a teenager once. I know I done it. I have kept everything bottled inside, but I don't know, because they say, you can look up Sue KLEBOD. She wrote a book, A Mother's Reckoning. I did read it, and it was an awesome book. I love that book because you got the in-depth look of Dylan KLEBOD's life. You did, and his early years leading up to this. And she expressed her deepest sympathy for what her son done. She said it took her forever, to accept what her son had done and, realize that her son had murdered people and was laughing and hooping and hollering like it was a game. She said that that was not the son that she knew. That was not the son that she knew. And I can empathize with her on that, because I have a teenager who is 17. She done this, and she's like, in Sue's book, she would say that Dylan would resort to his room and, would close himself in. That's the same way my daughter does. And, it kind of worries me at times. So I do go and check and be like, are you depressed? Are you thinking that, she's going to talk to me, but she's not. I'm her mother. I'm going to be the last person she turns to talk to. That is something that, I'm realizing as a mother. But, yeah, she said that, but like a couple of days or maybe a week before the shooting at Columbine, Dylan actually went to the prom with one of his good friends. God, I can't remember her name. It's I can't remember her name. I gotta look it up, guys. But he actually went to the prom. I don't know if it was a week or a couple of days before, but it was one of them. But Eric didn't. Eric didn't go to the prom, but Dylan did, which did not send. Dylan really didn't have no indicators. There was nothing flying up in the air or anything to suggest that he would do something like this. Eric, on the other hand, he would always act out in anger, and his parents knew this. They knew how angry their son was. They was trying to get him help. He was seeing a psychiatrist and he was seeing doctors, and they had him on the depression pill Lovic at the time. They did, and obviously it didn't work. I don't know. He was on it for years, but they found it in his system at his autopsy. That was the only drug that was actually in his system. Neither one of them were on any kind of drugs at the time of these killings. It just took place. I guess, they seem to be wanting to wreak havoc on their school and their fellow classmates. Like, they just wanted the whole thing demolished. That's what it seemed like. But it's very sad. And at the end of this video, we are going to take a moment of silence to remember the victims of the Columbine High School shooting. But I want to add more onto it because I want to go a little more in depth. So I'm probably going to have to do this in 3 segments. So I'm going to end this one right. No, guys, I don't want to end this one right now. I'm going to pause. Alright, guys, I'm back. Anyways, like I was saying, not even, he went to Dylan went to the prom and everything. There was no indicators that Dylan would have done anything like this if it wasn't from the influence of Eric. I believe Eric was a huge influencer in Dylan's life because, whenever Eric came along, it's like it was just him and Eric. There was nobody else. It's like he lost all contact with all of his other friends. Everybody's seen that, and everybody, I'm pretty sure didn't know this was coming, and they left no signs at all that this was going to happen. Most school shooters don't. That's why I tell my daughter, who is in high school, that if she hears a student threatening to bring a weapon to school or to bomb the school or something, go tell the teacher, go tell the principal, go tell something, because they might not be joking, they could be for real on it, and, I don't want to see that happen. But they have actually buckled down a lot in these schools. They got metal detectors, and they got so many police stations at the schools, and it's like they buckle down a lot. But still, if a student wants to come in and cause carnage, cause harm to anybody, and they are really hell-bent on getting that done, they're going to get it done. They're going to get by. Because there's so many ways. And I seen that when I took my daughter to school. I'm like, come on now, you can go back to the backward. I was telling her all this stuff, and cause she did come home one day and told me what a student had said, and I'm like, did you not go tell the teacher? Did you not tell the principal? And she's like, well, no, Mama, no, I think he was just joking. I'm like, well, there might not be a joke. It might not be a joke. You need to go tell somebody, and
I understand it's an emergency.
that's just my way of looking at things, because
Yeah.
there's so much that has happened, and so
Which way you come?
in schools, and there's so much bullying and so much of, you can't come and sit with us at the party because you're not popular. We all know this. We've been through it, and but at the time, Columbine was one of the worst school shootings in U.S. history at the time. And it made big headlines. It made national news. It did, and rightfully so. But I empathize with the parents of the ones that lost their kids. And I also can empathize with Sue Klebold, because she admitted to she finally owed up to that her son was a killer, and she knows this, and she felt the remorse for the families of the victims and everything. But at the time, it took years, sorry guys, for I think the parents of the victims to come to terms and be like, okay, well, you didn't do it, it was your son. So she actually sat down with some of the survivors and the parents of the survivors, and actually, it was it's like years later. It was like in 2000 and something. So after her book was published, she actually finally got to sit down and actually apologize face to face with some of the survivors and the Columbine parents of the survivors. Of the deceased. But there are still some animosity there, which is rightfully so. And it's like she said, they have every right to feel the way that they do. But at the same time, she had no idea what her son was up to. As a parent of a teenager, we tend to like to respect their privacy. We don't like to go in their rooms, messing in their stuff. We like to give them that privilege of having their own privacy. And, not go in and tear the room apart and thinking that they are stashing bombs and guns or anything. We don't think like that. We tend to respect and give them their space, because that's what most teenagers want. They want their space, and whenever they feel like they are being too, they feel like their parent is like just shadowing them and just one of them tiger parents, it's like they rebel more, if you ask me. That's why I tend to, as a mother of a teenager, of a 17-year-old, I tend to give her privacy. She has her own room. As long as, I don't suspect anything, it will continue to be like that, I don't go, messing on her stuff or nothing, that's her privilege, but it's a privilege. Because if she was to, break that privilege and gave me a reason to go in and search her room, and, then I would. I really would, I would tear the room apart and, make her clean it up. But I would, that's us as parents. But so far, my daughter has been an A-OK girl. She's actually has gotten, she's a 4.0 average, grade point average, and she's looking into colleges and all that. This also, go back to Dylan, he actually had went that weekend before the shooting, which was on a Tuesday, him and his parents, at the college that he was going to attend, and they have actually paid for the dorm room and everything. Guys, he was so close to graduation. They were only like a month away from graduating, and going off and living their own lives when this happened. And that's what's puzzling to me. they had put up with so much for 4 years, and they were like only a month away from graduating, and then they do this. I think, in my opinion, it was more Eric's idea than it was Dylan. Dylan was a big softy. He was softy. You could tell he was very soft. Eric, on the other hand, let's talk a little on Eric. Eric's father was a drill sergeant in the U.S. Army, so you can only imagine how his parenting was. I would hate to have had him as a dad. I'm sorry, but I really would, because he was more of a drill sergeant parent, even off of the base. He was just like that with his kids, and I think that's what made Eric more act out more, in anger, because of his parents were very strict parents, especially his dad. Very, very strict. They did actually keep a search on their kids' room, on Eric's room, and stuff like that. That's why Dylan had to hide most of the bombs that they had made at his residence. Because his parents didn't. So, but if you go and you read their journal entries, you will see the complete difference between them. Like, Dylan was your depressed, suicidal one, while Eric over here was your angry, rebellious, mean, homicidal maniac. You put the two together, and that's a recipe for disaster, guys. That was a disaster waiting to happen when them two were put together. Anyway, guys, I am back. Somebody was calling me on my messenger. I had to pause it, but Eric's parents was very, very strict, and but they were also kind of lenient parents, where Eric basically had a whole basement to himself, decked out in couch chairs and everything else, where they would actually do the infamous basement tapes. You can look those up also online. They called the basement tapes because they were filmed in Eric Harris's basement. On them, they are full of anger. They are just screaming and yelling meanful, hurtful things. They are expressing, I guess, their anger on the inside and just bringing it out. But you can also tell that Eric was very, very genuinely angry. He was a very angry person. But Dylan, you can tell that he was putting on a show, like to just try to impress Eric. I think, trying to just fit in with Eric. You can just tell by the way his facial expressions. You can tell by the way he was not as screaming angry, but was, still screaming. I think he was just trying to impress Eric and try to be on Eric's level, because he was more suicidal, depression. But also, what people fail to realize is that Columbine was a failed bombing. They went in before around maybe 11, maybe somewhere around there, and they planted 2 big duffel bags that contained 2 large propane bombs that, if it detonated, it would have wiped out the entire cafeteria of people. And they had it to detonate at the time that the cafeteria was at full capacity. So that would have literally killed everybody in the cafeteria. If they would have went off. But thank God it did not detonate. They did not. And that's whenever they went in and started shooting. They went to their plan B. Because this was well planned out. It was a 2 years they planned this. They planned this shooting. They did. Because you could tell it in in their journal entries. Everything was precisely planned. Dylan was a very punctual, precise person, and they planned it for 2 years. And April 20th, they was going to do it on April 19th, which was, by the way, the Oklahoma City bombing anniversary. But for some reason or another, it was pushed back to April 20th, pushed up to April 20th, which now stands for the Columbine shooting massacre. Every year they tend to do a little something in memory of the lost loved ones, which I feel so bad for them. I really do, because I don't know what I would do if I was to lose my child at the hands of a suicidal and homicidal maniac. I would not know what to do. I don't know. I think I will just be so over the place and just so over it. Honestly, guys, I would have acted the same way the parents did. I would have took it out on the parents, because I believe a parent should know what their child is doing. But then I'm finally realizing that at a teenager, you don't know what is going through their mind. You don't know, because they're not going to tell you. They keep it all bottled up inside. But anyways, guys, I am about to end this segment of my video. We're going to take a moment of silence and give our respects to the ones that died that day on April 20th in Littleton, Colorado at Comlubine High School. Let us pray or bow our heads for a minute.
Mama, get a cake.
Alright, guys.
I get a cake.
Thank y'all for that. And I will be back with segment 2.
Bye-bye.
As soon as I get it up, I will let you know. Until then, remember, love is love, be kind, and always put God first. Alright, guys, I'm out of here.
Bye-bye.
Mwah.
Bye-bye.